Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by Sorare Jonesy and we got a little special episode here for you. So if you're looking to go from limiteds into the rares, we have some squad builders here for you, and we go from £100 to 250 to 350 all the way to the 500 mark to give you the best premium team in the Contender division. So let's just drop straight into it. Whoa, okay, wait, hold on. You have liked and subscribed, right? Because if you haven't, then you're going to just get an arena ticket in your next box. It's a proven fact, it's science. Enjoy the video. Start off with my team, and my team is as follows, and this is for £100, as you can see there with the lineup floor price. We've got Nadal in goal, followed by his compatriot and fellow teammate Melo, okay? And then in the midfield we got Obermeier, forward Hiragota, and then we got in the extra slot Valentin Henry. I think overall this is a really solid team for a starter, but let's just jump a little bit into some of the players right now. Okay, just about Nadal. So in regards to his price, in regards to rare goalkeepers, he's only £17 as of time of recording, and obviously I had the screenshot prior for the team as well. As you can see here, he only played a couple of games last season, had a little stint there as well back with Oviedo back in the day, but in regards to just his Tenerife appearances, he only had the 3, and that was near the back end of the season. Now, I believe Tenerife had lost their goalkeeper. Jonesy, do you remember the name of the goalkeeper that they had lost?
No, I can't. I think he went to one of the bigger teams. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, so he did leave, in which case Nadal was the second or backup goalkeeper to that goalie. And yeah, for £17, I think is really solid. Obviously, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. It doesn't look like he's going to be the best goalkeeper, especially for him being 35 years of age. He is only 17 quid. Tenerife, to be fair to them, kept a lot of clean sheets and didn't actually concede all too many goals last season. I think it was something around like the 37, 38 goals conceded in the whole last season. So they're up there with one of the better teams. They were just finding it difficult to score. But yeah, and we also have it on good authority as well from La Liga 2 experts that they're not really looking for another goalkeeper. So Nadal looks like he should be about 70-80% at the very least going to be started there for Tenerife. And then obviously the defender, Melo, however you want to pronounce it, he's at £10.40, again as a time of recording. Again, plays for Tenerife, so Nadal's teammate there. And then you can see he plays at right back. Yeah, very solid scores there. 19.4 worth of AA. And when he starts, it's actually 19. So, but again, really solid players. You can see there when he plays, like he's hitting in the 60s for fun at the very least. So for someone who's only just £10, you've got a little defensive stack there of Nadal and Malot. For like £30, I don't think you can go all too wrong with it. And in the midfield slot, we're going to go for Rafael Obermeier. Plays in the Bundesliga second tier for Paderborn. Right midfielder. Solid scores, I think there. 11 decisive actions from the whole of last year in the 29 games he did play. Only had 2 sub appearances as well, which shows that he's a mainstay in the team. Hitting 12.4 worth of AA as well is very solid indeed. And even in the games where he's losing or drawing, he's still putting up some really good AA as well. So I think for someone that is in rare, he's currently only £16. Again, for the price bracket of the £100 squad builder, definitely a solid shout in your midfield position. And in the forward position, I'm going to go for Hiragota here. Again, plays in the second tier of the Bundesliga for Greuther Fürth. Now, the Swedish attacker is putting some really solid scores up from last season. As you can see there, hits himself on 100, a few 80s, quite a few 70s and 60s. So again, a really solid option. And for a forward, hitting 13.2 worth of AA. Again, there's nothing to be sniffed at there, and that's why he's the more premium player in the team. Typically the forwards and the goalkeepers are, but the goalkeeper being Nadal, being quite cheap for obvious reasons. And then for Hiragota for 50 quid to fit him in your £100 squad builder, I think is very solid. But again, just going off his scores, he had 15 decisives from 32 games, so it's obviously won every basically 2 games. So very solid indeed, and one of the main players there for Greuther Fürth. So, and only 31, still has a contract for a couple of years. I think again a solid player. And in the extra slot is obviously the Valentin Henry. It plays in the second tier of the French league for Caen. Can never pronounce that, but it's fine. £8.40 as well in the rare scarcity. puts up again some very, very solid scores. If we get rid of his sub appearances, he's hitting 16 positive AA for the second division team. There we go. English is hard. And yeah, very, very solid scores. A lot of 60s, very consistent, I would say there. Hitting 27, 35 worth of AA, 41. So doesn't need a decisive to get up and amongst there. And in regards to his decisive actions as well, he's still hitting 7 worth of assists in 31 games as of last season again. So if he does assist, if he does score, he's probably going to get you at least that sort of 70 plus mark. So again, very, very solid player for only the £8 mark. And that sums up the whole squad builder for just £100. So if you're looking to get started from your limited and you want to do it on a budget, or you want to sell off those limiteds to fund this sort of team, by all means, get amongst it. And now we're going to go into Sorare Jonesy's team.
Right, okay, so my team, again, under £100, just it's 99.85 on my screen. It might be gone up a little bit more, I've gone a little bit down on cap screen. But yeah, I've gone for the same goalkeeper with Nadal. I've gone for a lot as well, like Cap, because they seem to be the best pairing. I've gone for Kitiushvili, the Austrian midfielder, the Austrian league midfielder. I've gone for Donis Advijaj, I think I've pronounced that right, the forward for Hartberg, and the midfielder for Oviedo, the King Colombato. Okay, so starting off with Nadal, yeah, as Cap said before, we've got it on good authority that for the first half of the season, he should be the starter for Tenerife. And I mean, starting goalkeeper for £17 in rare, what can go wrong? But yeah, Tenerife gets a few clean sheets last season, so hopefully he just keeps doing that. And that'll be a nice cheap goalkeeper, and hopefully gets a podium with that. So moving on to the defender, it's Malot, the same as Caps again. Don't worry, all of our teams aren't the same. It's just these two in our cheap team. We both own Malot and we both own the goalkeeper. Again, if a clean sheet comes in, Malot has that AA to push it up to an 80. Which again, if you have Nadal and Nadal puts up a clean sheet and a couple of saves, that's a 70 to 80 score again. So again, these two paired together, a clean sheet, and you're looking at a very good score already, starting off your week. Okay, onto my midfielder, it's Otar Kitiushvili, the Austrian League Dom. He's amazing. If we look at his scores, 17 decisives last season with multiple scores in the 80s and in the high 70s. He was Sturm Graz, who won the league, their main attacking midfielder. He's currently just £17. I think that's right on my screen, he is anyway. For his classic card, he does also play for Georgia, so there's a bit of international utility there as well. But yeah, this guy likes to put up double decisives quite often, and chunks in a bit of AA as well. So yeah, he's a solid midfielder. Again, if the stars align and Tenerife keep clean sheet and this guy gets himself an assist, there you go, you've got 3 70 to 80 scorers straight off the bat. Okay, onto my forward. This is Donis Advijaj. He puts up reasonable AA for a forward, which is something that's strong. Obviously, when you get a decisive and you can put up like 8 to 10 AA, it pushes it from a 60 to a 70 score straight away. He had some big games last season. He got a hat-trick against Klagenfurt, which gave him a 97. He scored against Salzburg in a 5-1 loss, which he put up 28 AA as well. He can play anywhere from the wing to the striker spot and has a couple of games in the midfield, but he seems like a solid option. Still quite cheap, keeps it under the £100 budget. And again, just as I said before, if the stars align and he gets himself a goal and the others do their job, then it's coming towards a podium position for you. Okay, and then in my extra slot, which I should have put in really in the midfield slot, to be honest, is Santiago Colombato. He's rejoined Oviedo for another year, I believe. And all you have to do really is look at his scores. 12 decisives and 18.3 AA last season for Oviedo. Just look, it's like constant 80, 90 scores and some high 70s in there. So he would probably be the guy I would captain in the team. And he's only £30 as well, which is relatively cheap. And no other cards will be minted for him. So he will only be able to be used in Classic, I believe, because so I decided it was a good idea not to renew the licenses. But yeah, he plays in the holding mid and the box-to-box midfielder spot, depending on how Oviedo want to set up. But yeah, again, if he gets a decisive and puts up the normal AA he puts up, you're looking at one of those high 80, 90 scores.
Okay, so you've seen both teams. Now let's just give a little conclusion. Again, this is for a £100 squad builder now. Both teams, in my opinion, are extremely solid. You can see both the screenshots here with Jonesy's being on the top and mine on the bottom here, and you can see both for under £100. So very, very solid if you are looking to make that journey from limited into the rare. It's quite a scary one, but one I think you can be quite happy with in regards to either or teams or a mixture of the two. Very, very solid. So, yeah, what do you think to this as a team for just 100 quid there, Jonesy?
Yeah, it's solid. In regards to my team, I've pulled up some of the scores from last season. Without Nadal, because obviously with the backup last season, I wasn't the starter. This team as a four-man hit 358 and 349, and I believe it was a clean sheet for Tenerife in both. So if Nadal was playing, you can add another 60 or 70 onto that, puts it up into the mid 400s. So yeah, there's two podiums there, or close to. Be two big card rewards at least. So yeah, I'm happy with my team. What about yours?
Yeah, likewise, mate. I think I've gone for players who are, like you said before, for the intro, yours, like, who are capable of hitting those peak scores, who are hitting like 80s and 90s for fun. And I think all of these players have the ability to do so. And for the prices, I think it's very, very solid. I think for me, probably like captaining someone like Hiragota for me, because he's a very solid player. When he scores, it's 2 or 3 goals usually, and he never usually just leaves it at the one. So again, you're guaranteeing almost yourself getting a player of 70, 80. That's with just decisive actions, let alone his positive AA, which I believe was plus 11 over the year. So very solid for a forward. But all in all, I think you can't complain for £100 for these sort of players, this sort of team. I think it's crazy because obviously, like, I'm going to be doing a rare road to glory, so it's a cheeky little hint there what's happening on the channel. But in regards to this, like, these sort of players would have been worth a bomb a year ago, even, or even eight months ago. So I'm sure you would have known that, being in rare for quite some time now, and how much cheaper these sort of teams are becoming.
Yeah, it's becoming cheaper, and you can still get the quality players to try and push yourself to those podiums. Like I said before, if you want to try and hit high scores, you've got to find someone that peaks and hits really good AA. So decisive and good AA, even if it's just a mixture of both, if the stars align and everybody's got a great fixture that game week, the scores are endless. You could hit anything up to 500 or even more if you've got good XP bonuses.
Definitely. Well, that is the £100 squad builder. Now let's just jump straight into what we have for you guys at the £250 mark. Okay, and now to the £250 squad builder now, and I've got here for you in goal. I've gone for Dominic Raymond, plays for Magdeburg in the second tier of the Bundesliga, or in Germany, I should say. Currently sitting at about £85 from the time of recording, and yeah, as you can see here, I think he puts up some really solid scores. Like, obviously, like any goalkeeper is susceptible to those scores in the oranges and the low yellows, but in regards to scores at his peaks, and this is what we're looking for from both myself and Jonesy, we are looking at players here who can peak and who can hit you above that normal goalkeeper who would just hit the 60 if they were to get a sort of clean sheet. From what you can see here with Raymond, he actually doesn't hit 60s all too often. They're actually in the 70s, 80s, and you can see that at 90 and 100 as well. So obviously he is capable of doing that. In regards to the team itself, Magdeburg, they are a very like up and down sort of team. They either play really, really well and keep a clean sheet, win 3-0, or they lose a game 3-2 or something like that. There's a lot of goals that come to this sort of team, hence why there's such a big differential between the lowest scores and the highest scores here. But in regards to the positive side of that sort of thing, and it not being a goalkeeper who's in top of the league, who would probably just get a save or two off to keep a clean sheet, this guy has to earn his clean sheet. And that's why at 14.6 worth of AA for a goalkeeper is, I think, really, really solid, and had the 9 clean sheets in the 33 last season and still managed to pull off some really decent scores last season. I think someone like this in your team is very, very solid to a £250 squad builder. And in the defensive slot, we've gone for Ali Abdi in the second tier of the French league. Now, the Tunisian at only £14 or £15 at the time of recording is a very, very solid option indeed. And again, here are the scores. Hit 100 twice last season, and one of the beneficiaries to that actually is also in this call with us, or in this channel with us. So, Jonesy, do you care to explain why Ali Abdi is a good player?
Yeah, he's a cracking player. I do love Ali Abdi, and he was recommended by you on a game week where I was short of the defender, and he came in, he put up 100, and if I remember right, and he got me second place in I think it was an in-season competition, so we got second place in a contender in-season team. Yeah, he's fantastic. AA can be anything really. It can goes all the way up to like the 50s. And again, add a decisive onto that, which is what you're looking for podiums, and you're looking at high 80s, 90s, and 100 scores. So yeah, also international utility as well for Tunisia. It looks like he scores really well for Tunisia as well. Both 67 scores there. So yeah, he's one of my favourite players. I've not put him in my team, but yeah, I know. I thought you were going to mention that. Yeah, Cap got me basically a podium once in 1 week. Yeah, give him the credit.
There we go. Thank you very much. But that is exactly why I've chosen him beforehand. He was always sparking some stupid scores before the 100 scores, but he's hitting some 80s, some 70s, 60s again for fun. And for a defender who has again 9 goals, 2 assists, and a last man tackle clearance off the line there, I think again is really solid. I think 9 goals there for a left back is quite silly amount of goals there for 35 games last season. And yeah, I think this guy really highly. He's got the experience at 30 years of age, so he's still got a good couple of years left in him. I'm unsure of the contract situation, but again, guys, like I say in every video, make sure to do your own research for that. But again, for 15 quid in rare, by the way, for these sort of scores, I think again it's just phenomenal value, and this is why he is a part of my £250 squad builder. Okay, and now in the midfielder slot, I've gone for Sergio Arribas. Again, the Spaniard who plays in the second tier of the Spanish division, playing for Almeria, who have just been relegated from La Liga, obviously now to the second division. Currently sitting here at a rare price of £46, so one of them again, wouldn't say premium, but definitely taking a bit of the budget there of the 250. But again, for these sort of scores, and by the way, this is in La Liga, so this is in the top division, obviously, of Spain. And now that he's gone down, I think this is only going to be accelerated. Take in mind also he is under 23, so again some under 23 value there. So if he does do well, these sort of cards tend to go up a lot in price because of the under 23 utility they also have with the card. But you see that L5 is 72, L15 at 48. Again, very solid scores for a team that obviously was relegated last season. So 7 goals, 4 assists in the 19 appearances, is it? Yeah, 19 appearances, he's got 5 goals, 3 assists there. That's taken away the sub appearance he has there. But again, very solid scores there. And I think this guy's just only going to go have an upwards trajectory in the La Liga 2. And I've also got it from La Liga 2 expert that this guy is one of his standouts, so somebody who is going to have a really solid and promising season this season. And yeah, Almeria obviously are going to be one of the firm favourites to jump back up to the first division. And now obviously we got the forward slot when I've got here Dominik Fitz of Austria Vienna in the Austrian Bundesliga. As you can see there, those scores in the L5, the L15 and the L40 are nothing to be sniffed at there. Being 67 in the 67 in the L15 and L5 of 71. Very, very solid score. As you can see here, when he scores and he does really, really well and backs that up with some really good decisive actions also. AA, I should say. 10 goals, 9 assists from 31 appearances last season. Very, very, very solid. As you can see here, usually when he scores, he does 1 or 2 decisive actions a game. Typically, as you can see here, another two. He just scores them for fun essentially in that league. Again, only 25, so has a contract again for another 1.5 years till 2026, or 2.5 years, is it? I'm just off with that. And as you can see there, his classic price there in rare, as a time recording, is £88. But from when I had seen him, he was at £75. As you can see there from the last average sale that he does have in the rare scarcity. But again, you can't go too wrong with these sort of scores. What would you think of him then, Jonesy? Because I think this guy's really, really solid.
Yeah, I love Dominik Fitz. He's such a talent. I'm surprised he's not left Vienna yet, to be honest. You can see by his scores that he's crazy. And to be fair, he's probably the best contender forward under £100, I would say, in my opinion, just for those scores. And 15.8 AA. Well, if you move the subs, it probably goes up. So yeah, 16.3 AA from a forward with plus of double decisives. And that's why he hits those crazy scores. He's a podium player.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Definitely, and from what I've seen there, his lowest score from last season when he does start, so it doesn't come off the bench. So when he does start, it was 29, and that was away to Salzburg. So again, nothing, no mean feat at all, like 29 points. But in regard to that, 35 points, and then everything is 42 upwards, which is really, really solid. He only hit in the 40s, I think, 5 5 or 6 times, something like that in there. So again, yeah, very solid, very solid. There we go, sort of player. But for premium price of 85 quid, 75 quid, obviously do some negotiations. You can get that down easily enough, but for that sort of price, this is your premium player as well within the £250 mark. But again, I think just a very, very solid forward. And in your extra slot is going to be someone like Tommy Horvath, who plays for Sturm Graz in the Austrian Bundesliga, and they did win it last season as well. Now the Slovenian at only £25 again provides, I think, solid value. And you can see here from his scores, the last few DMPs have got nothing to do with his Sturm Graz appearances. It's got to do with Slovenia, which was obviously in the Euros, which he was just a sub for. So if we were to get rid of that and just make it Sturm Graz here, very, very solid scores. 7.8 worth of AA, which is fairly low for somebody in the midfield position, because typically they get amongst they get on the ball a lot more, tackles, etc., take-ons. But he makes up for it in some decisive actions, which was 15 from 29 appearances last season, obviously starting. But again, I think it's just very, very solid sort of value again. Even then, yeah, the 29 appearances he did make were consisting of all 15 decisive actions he had last season. So again, that's 1 every 2 games you're expecting him to hit decisive in some way, shape or form. And again, just very, very solid. That £25 price mark in your £250 team. And anyway, guys, like you can see here in the concept lineup builder squad here in the Global All-Star, it says he's at £248 lineup price, or floor price, I should say, as a time of recording at the time, and that's a screenshot the night prior. So it's not going to be a massive difference in price if you were to see it all today. But yeah, again, just to summarise again, Dominic Ryman, Ali Abdi in defence, Arribas in midfield, Dominic Fitz, and Tommy Horvath. If you were to ask me who to captain, obviously it all depends on the circumstances and the situation. I would typically go for Fitz. I wouldn't play him like away to top of the table, second of the table. I would use like Ali Abdi or Arribas, something like that. It's just, you obviously just got to play your cards right. But again, for the £250 mark, I think is an extremely solid team. I think it's actually up there with our favourites, isn't it? I won't spoil too much, as opposed to the 350 and the more premium side of things. But yeah, for the value, I think is phenomenal in this. And now we're going to go jump into yours now, so Jonesy. So let's have a look at your £250 team.
Okay, so we move on to my £250 team, and there's a couple of Jonesy Gallery favourites in here from last season. So we'll start with the goalkeeper. It's Dejan Stojanovic. He is the Altac goalkeeper in the Austrian League. And if you see by his scores, he's got quite a few 80s in there because he puts up a tremendous amount of AA, mainly because Altac's defence is not strong. So when he does keep a clean sheet and he puts up AA, you're looking there at the 86.8 there, with 26.8 worth of AA. Another one there where he got decisive and he got 22 AA. Another one there for 25 and 38. So yeah, they don't tend to keep a lot of clean sheets. I think he said he had 8 last season, but he did have a crazy amount of last man clearances and clearances off the line for a goalkeeper. So yeah, 8 clean sheets in 25 games. It's not bad, but again, the AA carries him through. So when he does keep those clean sheets, you're looking at a tremendous amount of points. So the first defender, well, the only defender actually, is my gallery favourite, Bradley Danger. He has recently transferred to Red Star. That is not to be confused with Red Star Belgrade, which a lot of people are doing. It's the newly promoted French team into League 2. If you look at his scores from last season, especially at the back end of last season, 93, 93, 100, 80s, 88, 84. He's just crazy. I love this guy. He does get a lot of decisive, so a lot of like last man clearances. He was penalty taker at Rodez, and I believe he was on corners. He was even on corners or free kicks. So you see the goals and assists there. A lot of them came from penalties and free kicks, which I'm not sure if he will be taken at Red Star, but hopefully they've seen that and they've brought him in to take set pieces as well. But yeah, for a centre half that gets all those decisives, 14 decisives from centre back last season, and again the crazy A that he puts up, it's 20. And if I remove the subs, 20.5 AA. So yeah, he's a fan favourite of mine, and Cap knows he is. So what do you think, Cap? Yeah, I love this guy, don't I?
Yeah, you non-stop talk about him. Actually, just off camera, you're like, oh, he makes me blush just looking at him. So I think there's a different sort of love there, but I'll leave that to your private personal life. But anyway, yeah, like his L5 being 85 and those scores he gave you near the end of that season, hitting 2 100s within quick succession of one another. It's just, yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And he accompanies it with stupid amount of AA. Yeah, I'm just hoping he does the same. He should do the same or similar at Red Star Belgrade. Sorry, Red Star, not Belgrade. Sorry, Red Star in the French division. But yeah, very, very, very solid player, mate, in your defensive slot.
Yeah, I think he'll pick up more A next season. I think he might have a bit more to do at Red Star. And again, he's only £24 in Classic, which is, I just can't understand how he's that cheap, to be honest. I think people do think it's Red Star Belgrade and they're trying to sell him off quick or something. But yeah, the scores speak for themselves. I can't really say anything more highly about this guy. He's top class. Moving on to our midfielder, it's somebody I don't know a great deal about, but his scores are just unbelievable again. A bit like Bradley Danger, he hits like high 80s, 90 scores. Doesn't quite get to the 100 point, but it's Grenoble's Jesse Benet. £50 currently in rare, which is quite solid. Last season, Grenoble had a great start, and then this guy went and got injured, and he started playing terrible, and then he came back, and he started doing well. So he must be a big difference maker in the Grenoble setup, because yeah, when he was out injured, they only won one game out of like 10, 12 games. So yeah, he seems like a big difference maker. A lot of decisives on him as well. 16, I think. 14 decisives across 27 starts. So as long as he stays fit, he's going to be a big player for Grenoble next season by the looks of things. Okay, in my forward spot is another fan favourite of Sorare is Inigo Vicente. Again, scores are unbelievable. 90s, 80s, quite consistently. What's he got? So he's got 17 70 plus scores in 39 appearances, which is brilliant, and he's not even a striker. So I don't know how he does it, but he does. He usually plays across the sort of like left wing, attacking mid on right wing spot. And again, yeah, he gives off a good amount of AA, 21.4 last season on average. For a forward, that's just crazy again. But he did only hit 40 decisives, so in those games where he does hit a decisive and hit the AA, the average AA, you're looking at those high 80s, 90 scores. And he was touted for a move to La Liga, but it looks like he's staying now. So I did grab myself one quite happily when he was a bit cheaper. So yeah, he's my recommendation for forward. I don't think there's many better, to be honest, for under £100. Fitz is probably the closest, but he's a bit more expensive. So yeah, that's my forward. I really like him. So onto my extra slot, it is none other than the Scottish Iniesta, as I call him, another fan favourite of the gallery, Mr. Blair Spittle. Last season, he was playing for Motherwell. He still hit huge scores, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and he did get 100 in one game. Now he's moved to a bit more prestigious Hearts, who I think might have European football, I can't remember. So he should just be playing just behind their striker Shankland, if Shankland is staying. So I would expect more decisives. Yes, he did it 21 last season. I'm expecting more from him again. Yeah, he's a very, very solid player. I've currently got him at the price of around about £40. I don't know if that's the same for you, Cap.
Yeah.
I've had a much better experience with him than Cap, to be honest. Do you want to tell him what happened when you bought him, like most players that we recommend you buy?
I'd rather leave it out, but no, I've rated this guy. I still rate this guy, even though it's just. I think I bought him around this part here. I think I bought him like game week 455, and as you can see there, from game week 455, and then the next 4 or 5, he was just putting up stinky scores. And but then he brought it back a bit with the 75 and the 92, then some mediocre performances at the end of the season. Because Motherwell decided to lose their last 2 games there. But yeah, you can't knock this guy's ability. At the end of the day, 11.1 worth of AA, like you said before, 21 decisives in 37 games for a Motherwell team that didn't do that well last season either. I think he's going to have as long as he starts, which he should do, because of his sort of ability. Yeah, for a team like Hearts, who are always like 3rd, 4th place in the Scottish Prem, again, I think is a very, very solid player for just the £40 mark.
Yeah, he should be having a field day at Hearts. Like I said, it depends on if he's going to start. Like I said, that move, hopefully. I don't think they have anybody else for that role. I can't think of anybody that they have for that role. But yeah, just behind the striker, and he should just pop off. Him and Shankland should have a really strong season together. So yeah, there's my team on screen as a cap is showing. Look, all the light green and dark green scores. Well, like aqua scores as you call them, turquoise. Yeah, this is similar to the £100 team. It's just this will be more consistent and have a better chance of hitting a podium. With the £100 team, you're kind of looking for the stars to align. This has a much higher chance of the stars aligning with the scores that the players get. And again, £249 lineup price, just under budget for the players. And yeah, I think these could hit some really high scores next season. And again, all staying fit, and Bradley Danger having a really good season at Red Star, and Bless Bill getting his starts at Hearts. And this could be a few podiums next season potentially, with the scores that they put out. And for the captain spot as well, captain anybody based on the fixtures, they all hit high scores. Just put who you feel's going to pop off depending on the fixture. I can't really nail down a captain because they all pop off at different times.
So again, just to summarise, guys, for £250, you can see here with Jonesy's on top and mine on bottom again. Mine at the time of recording from the screenshot was 248 lineup floor price. His is, as he said before, 249. Now, I'm going to be honest, out of the two teams, I would prefer yours. I think is a very, very solid. I think yours is more... It's got a little bit more risk to it, I guess, maybe, in the sense of Spittle's just moved, Danger's just moved, Vicente could still move. So that's the only iffy bit I have about your team, but apart from that, if all start, I mean, you're right, you're going to get a much better score than what mine is. Like I said, I think for mine, they should be all pretty much guaranteed starters. I mean, there's a little question mark maybe over Ali Abdi, but you are only paying 15 quid for him at the end of the day. Arribas is obviously coming down to a lower level. So yeah, I like both teams. I must admit, I would prefer your team. If your team starts, then yeah, it's a no-brainer to pick your one. But I think by the time they're established, there is probably a big price hike. If Vicente was to come out or something tomorrow and say, I'm definitely staying, then I think he will obviously go up in price, probably like 70, 80 quid at the very least, because those scores he puts up is absolutely stupid. But overall, I really like both teams. What's your input?
Yeah, it's the same really. It is kind of a stars align thing again. Spittle has to perform at Hearts, which I can't see a reason why he doesn't. He knows the league. He's not changing the league. He knows all the teams he's playing against. He's just got a new setup that he needs to adapt to. And again, same for Danger. He's been brought in to be the starter. I don't think he's going to be benched at all. It just depends if he's put on sets. So if he's taking corners, free kicks, penalties, then the scores will be the same. And then with Vicente, I've seen online that he's currently out with a small injury or fitness problem. So he's not played a friendly yet. But also all signs point to him coming back for the start of the season and playing for Santander. They've not really. I think they've tried to overprice him for the La Liga teams. I think they want like upwards of almost 10 million euros, and which is kind of a crazy price for a La Liga 2 player. They don't usually pay that sort of money for a player coming up. So I think they kind of priced him out of the move. But again, next season, if he does the same again, I think somebody will probably pick him up for the season after. But again, this is just for next season, so hopefully they all stay and they all perform. There is a bit more risk to my team than there is to yours, which is fine. All depends on how much budget you've got, isn't it, and how much risk you're willing to take.
No, it's exactly it. Like everyone has to do their own research regardless, because we might find someone, but by the time this video comes out, someone could sign for somewhere else. So again, like I said, guys, I want to reiterate, make sure you do your own research. I can't stress that enough, because obviously we like to do our research, but we're only two men, all right? We can only do so much, okay? So if you have some contacts, if you have some people you know you are reliable, go see it, go source it out, go look up your newspapers, anything in sort of regions and areas you're in, and make sure to do your own research for that. But besides that, we're going to go jump into our £350 squad builder now, and let's see the sort of teams we're going to bring to you. Now, to kick off the £350 squad builder, I have here in my team Ivan Nevestic, who does play for Dynamo Zagreb in the Croatian league. Now, he's £143, but I think maybe for good reason. In regards to his scores, he took over, I think, what's his name? How do you pronounce it? Zagnarak, something like that. Old Donny, 36, 37 years old, wasn't putting up the best scores all the time, so they have put in the more youthful prospect of Ivan Nevestic, and yeah, I think he's a very, very solid goalkeeper. Put up 13 clean sheets as of last season as well, and even if I put it down to the last 6 months, because that's typically where he took over, he had 10 clean sheets with a penalty save in 17 games. Again, very, very solid. doesn't peak so much, but he is in a very decent team there. Picks up some decent AA for a goalkeeper as well, being 8.1, which is, I think, very solid. And in regards to the last DMP games, I think it was more or less like handing it over to Zagnarag just to finish off the back end of that season, because you can see there the last game he played was a 1-0 win to Ozjek with 18.3 worth of AA, putting up a 78 score. So it isn't the reason that he played bad or he conceded a goal or error leading to goal or anything like that. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be starting next season. But again, do your own research. But £143 in the rare, I think, is very, very good value there. I wouldn't say it's absolutely amazing, because of obviously what we showed you in the £100 and £250 thing, but definitely if you've got the budget to do it, I just say why not. In the defensive slot, I've gone for foremost Mendy, currently of Lorient, who have been relegated from Ligue 1 to the second tier. And yeah, for £40, I think this guy provides like really good value, and I'll show you why. And it's not the scores that you currently see on screen now. If I go all time and I push this to the second league, obviously the French league, when he did play here with, it looks like Amiens here. Look at those scores. Very, very, very solid scores. Hitting on average, by the way, on his all in League 2, hitting on average 25.3 worth of AA. That's I think stupid amount of AA to hit over that consistent period of time. Like I said, this is in League 2. When he was in League 2 with Amiens, and now the fact that he's with Lorient, who have just been relegated, are probably up there again in amongst the top 3, top 4 to be favourites to get back into Ligue 1. And yeah, for just 40 quid, he's under 23 utility alongside that also. So if you are looking to maybe spread your budget to under 23s and get extra utility with these sort of players, he's someone you should be looking at, that's for sure. And yeah, he's under 23 till July 1st, 2025. So those sort of scores, you can't sniff your nose at it. Okay, is all I'm trying to say. 61.1 average score he obtained in the second tier of the French league. So very solid. As you can see there, he is susceptible to getting 100. He has done on one occasion there, but been very, very close on quite a few occasions as well. So yeah, I think someone who's very, very solid for the £40 mark to start off your defensive side of your team in the 350 category. Okay, and now in my midfielder slot is going to be Marvin Wanitsek. I don't know how to pronounce that team. Karlsruhe in the second tier of the Bundesliga. I probably butchered that, don't care. But anyway, 70 quid at the moment in the rare. Very solid. L5 of 70, L15 of 63, and even the L40 of 58. Again, I think is very, very respectable indeed. In regards to his score last season, did well, I would say, in comparison to the season he did before, which I'll show you in a second. He didn't do as well, but for this season, or season that's just been, again, a very good output there, I think, at least. He had the 8 goals with the 5 assists there, so he's got 13 decisives amongst the 31 games there, hitting 13.7 worth of AA, and I think this is where a lot of people hedge their bets. So you can see here, if you go all time, and this is, I believe, with the same team as well. Yeah, it is. So he's always been in the second tier of the Bundesliga with the same team as well, so he's shown commitment in that terms. 29 goals, 24 assists. Quick maths is what, 63? Actually 64 decisive actions with the last man tackle and clearance of the line in 98 appearances. Very, very solid. So he's getting a goal. He's getting three quarters of his three quarters, I should say, of his games are getting decisive actions, if you include the all-time. So definitely, I think someone who didn't have the best of seasons in regards to the typical standards he's been setting over the years. So there is maybe a bit of a risky element to that, and at £70, a bit risky. But if this guy comes off and just does half as good as what he did in previous seasons, I think again he's going to push you up there amongst the podium positions. And now in the forward position, I have here someone who I personally love. He's just a phenomenal striker in the Croatian league for Ozjek. As you can see there, it's going to be Ramon Miras, only 27 years of age, £66 as well as a time recording for the rare. And yeah, the scores he was putting up last season was really good. I think the goals to game ratio is very solid. 16 goals with 7 assists, and also the 1 last man tackle or decisive there. Very solid. I think that's what, 24 goal contributions in 35 games that he did play. So again, very, very solid output there. Yes, he has the occasional doesn't score. It's just just how the cookie crumbles for the forwards. But if you hedge your bets on him, and he has got a very favourable game, both home and away, by the way. I think he has some solid games both away, as you can see there, and also at home, again, some very solid scores. So, yeah, I feel like this is somebody who, like Hajduk Split are going to pick up, Dynamo Zagreb are going to pick up because they've got very aging strikers from what I can see. And it wouldn't surprise me if someone like this moves to them. Again, that's just my own intuition. That's not any sort of like background knowledge or anything like that, so make sure you do your own research for that. But yeah, 66 quid. Forwards are typically quite spenny as well. So yeah, I think for this guy who's going to almost like, I won't say guarantee you a goal, but he's going to have a very good chance at both home and away and against the top teams in the Croatian league. And now in the extra slot, I've gone for someone slightly cheaper here, but I think somebody who again shows really good value, and there's maybe even a slight risk to it, but again, for the only £8.30 mark in the rare, it's going to be Escudero, formerly of your team there, Jonesy, Valladolid, and now he's currently moved to Deportivo La Corona, and yeah, who have just been promoted from the 3rd tier to the 2nd tier. And I believe they have someone like Perez, formerly at Arsenal, currently there, who was a top goal scorer, but that's another video for another day. But it looks like they're showing good promise. It looks like they're bringing in good players. So it's not just Escudero they're bringing in. I think they want to stay, obviously, in La Liga too. So they look like they're going to be bringing in some good players. So I think, yeah, in regards to his scores as well, Escudero last season hitting 17.3 worth of AA, or 17.9 when he actually started. But if we get rid of his DMPs, very, very solid scores all round for the sake of only £8.30 again. Somebody who can peak. He did hit himself 100 there. As you can see, there had 2 goals, mind you, and he did this all in 64 minutes. I only just saw this. 64 minutes, he got himself 2 goals with 51 or just under 52 worth of AA, which is absolutely ridiculous, away from home, by the way. So, yeah, to do that in 60 minutes, in 90 minutes, let alone 64, is absolutely crazy. So, yeah, obviously this guy's got that ability in abundance. He's 34 years of age, still has a contract here as he's just signed for Corona for another 2 years there, as you can see on screen, to the 30th of June 2026. Yeah, so obviously a veterinary player, somebody who's got a lot of experience behind him, and I feel like he's going to help carry someone like Deportivo La Corona to stay within the 2nd tier of the Spanish division. And for somebody, I just wanted to bring you in, Jonesy, just before we finish this sort of segment on Escudero. Okay, obviously he did play for your team there at Real Valladolid there. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, he's old but gold. I do with a lot of the older players. Tons of La Liga experience, as well as obviously now La Liga 2 experience. He's one of those players that, again, doesn't need a decisive to hit huge scores, but doesn't really often play 90 minutes. So for someone that doesn't really often play 90 minutes, to put 48 AA in 71 minutes, 42 AA in 72 minutes, he might start getting 90 minutes again at La Coruna, actually. Obviously, they just nearly promoted, so could go either way. I think he'll definitely start most of their games. They need that experience in the back line to stay up. So yeah, again, he gets quite a few decisives as well, and for a 34-year-old, he's doing well for himself, isn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I think, again, yeah, very, very solid. And like I said, for only the £8.30 mark, last public sale being £5.30, so you'd probably be able to get him a lot cheaper, or we'll say a lot cheaper, but a few quid cheaper at least, and do some negotiations to get him for £5 or less, £6 or less, I think is a bit of a steal, especially if he does just put up half the performances he did last season. A bit of a peaker, so yeah, very solid player, I think, that we got in the extra slot. Again, guys, just to summarise the team, as you get, Neverstitch in goal, Mendy in defence, Wanitsek in the midfield, Ramon Mires in the forward slot, with Escudero covering that extra slot. As you can see there, it's only £335. So if there's any players that you like that were a bit more tickled your fancy a bit more from the previous ones of mine or Jonesy's team in the £100 or £250 mark, you can swap out Escudero, who's the cheapest one out the lot here, £8, and you still got a nice little budget of an extra £25 there, or £15 there, to be able to get it to the £350 floor price. And yeah, I think again, very, very solid for the price. Underpriced, undervalued, solid players within it. Now, I think now what we're going to do, Jonesy, unless you have anything to say about this team, we're just going to just jump straight into yours.
So starting off my team, the £350 team, I've got Anthony Mandrea in net, which is the Algerian Cayenne goalkeeper in the French League 2. Quite similar to Stojanovic, he does hit some nice scores, and his last game of the season was a 3-0 win where he had, I think it was a last man clearance, a last man tackle, which is again quite odd for a goalkeeper. So he did put up a massive 89 score. Again, Cayenne, you partner him up with Ali Abdi from one of our other teams. You could be looking at some huge scores there. He does start for Algeria, so you get that extra international utility for the international breaks, which is always very handy. And yeah, I think it's about £110 currently. So yeah, clean sheets are vital for him. He doesn't quite give off amazing amounts of AA when he keeps a clean sheet, but when he doesn't keep a clean sheet, he gives off great AA, which is quite strange. But yeah, solid goalkeeper for next season. Again, no more of him will be minted, I don't think, because they've got rid of the French 2 league for new cards. So yeah, he can really only go up in price because of the low supply, as long as he holds his position. Okay, on to my defender. We've got Liam Scales at around about £67. He is Celtic's obviously centre back for the upcoming season. If you look at his previous scores, they are unbelievable, mainly because Celtic kind of dominate the Scottish League. Again, 27.6 AA in starts last season. 27.6 AA. Crazy amount. And he did only hit 4 decisives, which is not too bad for a centre-back. And then if you see by the scores, he's obviously got a few hundreds in there, quite a few 90s and 80s. So he's one of those high peakers, and quite consistently by the looks of it as well. He's very, not really often for Celtic that he hits a low score. I think he's got 1, 2, 3 below the 40 mark, a couple in the 40s, and then the main bulk of it is like dark greens and turquoise scores. Yeah, a solid defender for next season. Also has international utility, but it is for Ireland, so do with that what you will, really. On to my midfielder. It's a player that me and Kat both know. It's Laurent Abidjel, who's just signed a new deal at Lorient, and I believe he's captain. He's now 31 years old, but he's been given a contract until 2029, so they're showing great faith in him, I guess, for the upcoming seasons. So they have been relegated, as Kat mentioned before, Mose Mendy. They're now in French League 2. So the scores that you can see on screen are all French League 1 scores, where he averages 19.6 AA, a couple of decisives on top. So when he does hit those high scores, so he had a 99 in the last game of the season, he hits a few 60s there and a few 80s. Obviously these scores really can only get better as they've been relegated. They're going to be playing against weaker teams, and they won't be getting these horrible 3-0, 4-0 losses, 4-2 losses against the bigger teams. So yeah, I think he's a solid pick-up for £25. Like I said, Kat probably knows maybe a little bit more than me about him. What do you think, Kat? Laurent Abidjel?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think you summed it all up quite nicely there. Like, there's a reason why they've given him an extra 5-year contract at 31, because they love him there. He's almost, from what I can tell from on X and from what I've seen from Lorient fans online, is that he's the second coming. Like, he's loved there. So, but yeah, for 25 quid. And like you said before, these are scores in Ligue 1 where he is taking a lot of minus AA because of conceding 3 goals, 4 goals, 2 goals. Obviously, this will take away a lot from his AA scoring. So if Lorient do well this season, which they should do, because obviously, like you said, they have been relegated to League 2, and he has obviously showed his commitment by signing this long-term contract as well. So he's probably going to be staying there for the rest of his career. All we need him to do is just do well with Lorient in this season. So yeah, I think again, mate, it's a solid little pick, solid player, 31 years of age, £25. Can't go too wrong with it, can you?
Moving on to my extra slot, it is Ilan Cabal. I think I pronounced it right, hopefully. The Algerian midfielder plays for Paris in the French League 2. As you can see by scores, a lot of consistent 80-plus scores. Out of the 36 starts last season, he did hit 13 80-plus scores, with 2 of them in the 90s. And yeah, he looks pretty solid. He plays in the attacking mid spot, so you expect quite a lot of decisives from him, and he does provide a good amount of AA at 17.6, so that'll be the chances he creates for the forwards at Paris. So yeah, I don't think it's a too bad price. He's currently at £71, might be a little bit more than what I'd be willing to pay, but his recent sales have been in the 40s mark, which is a great price for him. Yeah, I can't really say much more about him. He's just consistent. As you can see, like, had a good spell there of 90 to 100 scores. 80 to 100 scores on the bounce there, 5 games, and then another 5 games. So yeah, he hits great scores in spells, and I don't believe he's moving anywhere. So I think he's set there for the next couple of seasons with a contract till 2026. So yeah, as you can see, my team is on screen there. If we just pull it up for me, it's currently £343. So yeah, just under the £350 budget. Another solid, consistent team. As you can see, the L40s of all these players are very solid. Well, Abigail's won't be as high because he's playing in League One. So yeah, another solid team. I think this is, again, more consistently could hit a podium team, again, if you stars align. On the scores, that was only the last 3 months. Yeah, on my scores, they're consistently hitting like the 300, 370 score line. So again, with your boost and your captaincy, I've not got a captaincy bonus on here, so that will be consistently around the 400 mark. So yeah, again, another team that should be hitting podium fairly regularly and making your money back quite quickly and consistently.
And again, guys, let's just summarise each team here. So again, mine is the bottom. His is on top there. His at £343 lineup floor price, and mine's at £335 lineup floor price. So there is a lot of wiggle room, especially for yours as well, in regards to if you can get Cabal for his more recent average, then you save yourself again another 20-30 quid, depending on what he drops down to, if he does. So yeah, again, I think overall the teams are, I think, very solid. I really like the Abigail shout. Imagine if you could put him alongside Mendy. Those two might be quite juicy, a little mix there with the Lorient boys. Definitely very solid. And yeah, I like the teams in general.
Yeah, I think yours is slightly better this time and a bit cheaper. Obviously, Cabal's like £30 more in price than what he should be. Yeah, both solid teams. Like we said, they both could consistently hit the podium spot or get in amongst those higher rewards, your tier 2s and above, for these teams based on the fixtures. I didn't even say who I would captain. Again, it'll be the same as the 250 team. Captain anybody based on the fixtures. They can all hit high scores. I'm guessing that'll be the same for yours.
Yeah, it's a weirder one, this one, because as we go up in pricing, the more consistent these guys are at a higher level, so hitting amongst those 60s, 70s. So obviously just use your head. Like I said, with Miras, he's scoring goals. Don't try to do it away to, although he's capable of it, of course. These sort of players in this price range are always capable of hitting scores home and away and against better teams. But if they're at home to bottom of the table, captain them then. Yeah. So let's just use your head and your heart and make sure you just do what you can with that. So yeah, I think we're going to get into now, mate, the juicy £500 squad builder. So now let's show the viewers. So start off my team here, obviously familiar face with Neverstitch. So essentially, these guys, this is going to consist of the best players we believe are on each position. Now, whether that's value and stuff like that's a different story, but in regards to the best player for under the £500 mark, that's what we have chosen. So there might be a couple of players with crossover, players you might have seen in the previous other squad builders, but all in all, we believe they are the best within that, because it is difficult, believe it or not, to spend over £500 in the rare scarcity. So we're just going to jump into it. So again, with Neverstitch 143, like I said before, I'll keep it short and sweet. Like I said before, good goalkeeper, younger, taking over Zagarak, I believe his name was again. And you can see here, lots of clean sheets, lots of wins in the Dynamo Zagreb, because they're the best, basically one of the best teams in the Croatian league. Next in the defensive slot is someone we actually haven't gone over yet, but it's going to be Miro Muheim of the second tier team Hamburg, the Swiss international at the moment, or the Swiss international, I should say. £115 in regards to his classic rare price. But look at the scores here. This is what he put up last season. Hit on average here of 21.9 when he does start. 5 goals, 4 assists, 1 last man tackle or clearance off the line there. So again, 10 decisive actions in 26 games. Hamburg had a really good season last season, looked like they were going in the promotional spots, and then started to dwindle near the back end. I just had a random loss or a random draw or anything like that, which ultimately cost them getting into that promotional spots or the playoff spots for promotion. But yeah, for £150, yes, steep, but you can sort of can tell why in regards to his scores. 64.8 worth of scoring over the last year. Very, very solid player. Gets some good decisive actions as well amongst when he does hit those decisives. In the midfielder slot, I've gone for Mateus Savio, and I will get you to chime in on this a bit, Jonesy, because I know you know this guy a bit better, or a lot better, I would say, because you bet better with your Japanese league. But he's only at 50 quid here. For the scores of there, as you can see on screen, L5 of 80, L15 of 61, and an L40 of 63 is super, super solid. And again, look at the scores here. And I think they're just stupid and nuts. 13.5 worth of AA, so he is a bit more decisive heavy. But 11 goals with 12 assists. That's 23 in 36. Very, very, very solid player. It looks like he spreads his goals and assists throughout different games, which is quite handy at times because that means he's going to get more consistent scoring across the board. And yeah, definitely peaks as well. As you can see here, hasn't hit his 100 yet, was very close to in recent times, which was on the 14th of July. So yeah, very solid, hitting 96 there with a goal and 35.5 worth of AA. What else do you have to chime in on with Savio there, Jonesy?
Yeah, he's great. He just plays for a poor team. That's the only thing. The only issue with him, he plays for the team that's like 13th, Racel, but he is the main man there. Usually plays out on the wing and then sometimes plays a couple of games as striker. But yeah, 23 decisive in 36 games. A little bit low on the AA, but it's a forward card and he's doing 13.5. You can't really complain. But yeah, he's a decisive gem. £50 crazy. I think it's probably because the European season's rolling around. But they do play till December, I believe, in Japan. So you get quite a bit of utility, and then he comes back in February after a short, like three-month break. So yeah, he's definitely one that's good to pick up, even as an investment, because his price should shoot straight back up if he stays at Racel after the season. When it gets to that time when people are buying their MLS, J League, K League players, his price should go back up to like the £100 mark. So yeah, solid player. Definitely want to keep an eye on.
Now, a guy that needs no introduction because, well, one, he's a brilliant player, but two, we obviously have gone over him already, and that's Vicente of Racing Santander, again, at £58. Again, the scores speak for themselves, so I will keep it short and sweet for you guys. The 21.4 worth of AA, or the 21.6 worth of AA when he's just starting, is extremely solid, and I would say Racing Club are a good team. I would say they're top 6, top 8 sort of team, so they're not rubbish, but they're not the absolute best. So the fact that he's putting that in like a top table sort of team is really, really solid. So yeah, but just for 60 quid, definitely solid to put in your £500 premium team. And then last but not least, in the extra slot, we've got Dominic Fitz, who I believe again is really good value in regards to, like, he's probably one of the better premium ones for under 100 quid. I was struggling to find players who were putting up better scoring in regards to the price as well. But again, L5 of 71 is very, very solid. You can see there his scores we spoke about him prior as well. 15.8 worth of AA to go alongside any decisive actions he does put in on the game as well. Just a very, very solid player all round. Still got a lot of life and juice left in him, being 25. So again, very, very solid. Who knows if he stays at Austria Vienna? But again, like I said, do your research for that. But at £88 or £75, which either or, I think again just shows good value. And on screen, guys, obviously this is the squad itself for under £500, and we're quite significantly under £500. I don't want to spoil Jonesy's all too much, but I know he got a lot closer than what I did. But I just felt like I didn't want to give players who are worth £200 odd who were putting up similar scores to Vitz or Vicente or anything like that. That's my only real thinking behind it. But by all means, if you see anyone like Jones is going to show you who could be better for you, by all means chuck them in instead of this team here, into this team or into Jonesy's team. But yeah, for £230 or £430 I should say, these are all players who are consistently hitting like 70, 80, 90s and hitting them for fun. So to me, you should be hitting podium quite often with this sort of team. I wouldn't say loads of times, but I would expect it a good handful of times with this sort of team if they were to replicate anything of the previous season.
So moving into my £500 team, and as Cap said, we actually struggled to get up to £500 with our teams. I just about managed it by putting a couple of star players in. But yeah, we'll get straight into it. So my goalkeeper is the relegated Luis Maximiano. The Almeria goalkeeper, obviously, he's moving down the league. He's only 25, so he's got tons of utility in him for years to come, and he's contracted until 2029. I believe he's £103 currently in Classic. Obviously, scores will not justify what he'll probably be able to do this season. Now he's dropped the league. But yeah, he did hit some nice 90 and 80 scores there at the back end of the season. But again, dropped the league, so I expect more clean sheets from Almeria, and I think a lot of people are expecting Almeria to go straight back up as champions or second place. So yeah, that's my goalkeeper. So the next player I've got up on screen is the defender. I'm not going to pronounce his first name, but I know him as Pavlovic. He's the Salzburg centre-back. As we know, Salzburg are a very, very dominant team in Austria. As you can see by his scores, a lot of high 80 scores and 100 scores. Did miss a few games. He was on the bench for a couple, and he does start for Serbia as well, which I didn't even realise that when I picked him up. Yeah, starts for Serbia, puts up some good scores there as well. But yeah, he's mainly for Salzburg, and obviously Salzburg will have that midweek utility, which is why his price is probably quite high, but I still think it's good value at £60 to put him in your team. So yeah, midweek utility, international utility, and obviously the most dominant team in Austria. Just hit a few decisives as well, and 21.7 AA is pretty solid. Okay, so for my midfielder slot is another under-23 player in the Bundesliga 2, plays for Fortuna Düsseldorf, or Dusseldorf even. It's into Appelkamp. He didn't get the game time that I think people were expecting last season for Dusseldorf, but when he did start, he hit some amazing scores, 100s, 80s, 90s, a few 60s and 70s as well. I think he probably will get more game time this season. Not sure if that was an injury, possibly an injury midway through the season that he missed a bit of time. But yeah, he looks like a solid pickup for around about £40 or £45. I wouldn't touch the in-season price at 90 to be honest, but I'm guessing that's the brand new auction cards. So yeah, I think he's a solid pickup. I reckon he will improve this season as well. Like I say, give him more game time. He should be a solid pickup for that price. Okay, my striker is the young Russian player called Maxim Glushenkov. Has just moved to Zenit, so now he's playing for the best team in Russia. As you can see by his scores, they were mostly at Lokomotiv, which again aren't too bad a team. But yeah, he's very decisive heavy and AA heavy, so for a forward. So you see most of his scores, he has 2 or 3 decisives a game. This is like my steep player. I had to get the price of the team up to £500 because that was a rule set by Cap, so blame him. But yeah, a very decisive player, very young as well, and he's basically tearing up in the Russian league. I would expect to get some move at some point to a bigger team in Europe, but at the moment, yeah, he's just killing it in the Russian league. Lots of really high scores and very decisive heavy. And then for my extra slot, it's Mateus Taffiner. He's a favourite of my gallery, and he's extremely cheap, good value for money, down at £30. Again, he's very AA heavy, so he only hit 4 decisives from the centre of midfield for Tyrol last season, but he does hit 20 AA, which again, when he hits those decisives, it gives those 90 to 97 scores. He was a fan favourite on Sorare until he just disappeared, and then he came back and he signed for Tyrol, and again, he's replicating the scores that he used to replicate. Another under-23 player, so basically most of my team is under-23, apart from the goalie, I think, and maybe Pavlovic is as well. So yeah, a very solid player. He should have a better season again. He's Tyrol's main midfielder essentially in that box-to-box role. So I would expect even better scores, and they've tried to improve the squad a bit around him as well. Okay, so there's my team on screen. You can see it's £494, mainly due to Glushenkov and his price. But like I say, most of these players play for like the highest teams in their league and are expected to score highly every single week. You know, Maximiliano at Almeria, Pavlovic at Red Bull Salzburg, Glushenkov at Zenit are all expected to dominate the league essentially. So yeah, very strong players in there, and hopefully they do really well next season, and this would be one of the teams that you would expect would consistently podium. You know, obviously not stupidly, but like Cap said, a handful of times next season.
Anyway guys, so that is near the end of the video, so we're just going to summarise this team here. So obviously they're both £500 each, so £1,000 for the two teams. Would we say this is great value? I think we're both in agreement. No, but you know, they are phenomenal scorers nonetheless. And what would you say about the teams in general?
Yeah, I said it. I've been saying it throughout the videos we've been recording. Our best teams were the £250 teams, and instead of buying a £500 five stack like this, just go and get the 10 players from both of our £250 teams. You can mix and match the fixtures much better because you've got 10 players instead of 5, and you probably hit maybe the same, if not more, podiums with that team, and high rewards with that team as a 10 stack than you would with one £500 team. So yeah, that'll probably be my best value setup would be the 250.
Yeah, agreed. You could buy 250 ones, and then and then get yourself probably into Challenger. Which, if you want to see, guys, next video with Jonesy, who will also join me, considering he is good with his rares here. Make sure to smash a like on the video and comment down below. I will also leave a little pop up here of how to find Jonesy on X. So Jonesy, mate, thank you for popping on again. But guys, that will be the end of the video. If you can like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. We're so close to, I believe it's 800 subscribers. I'm excited to hit that milestone, hopefully very, very soon. But I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. That is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you around next time. Peace out.